Hello, citizens of the Nigelverse. It is Nigel here once again, and this is going to be another wrestling review. So, we are continuing our look at Royal Rumble matches, as well as matches that happened at the Royal Rumble, because, of course, it is the month of January, so therefore, it is Rumble season. And this one's an interesting one. It has a little bit of a personal connection to myself. Mixed with some bad blood and carnage between these two men. So let's get right into it. I'm of course talking about JBL versus Chris Jericho at the Royal Rumble 2008. So as always, I'm not professional wrestling reviewer analyst, just a man who enjoys a good time, and I had an okay time watching this match. What's that personal connection I mentioned? Well, back when I was young and stupid, I accidentally he ordered this pay per view, the Royal Rumble 2008, um, and when I ordered it, I just had to press a button and it was ordered. Thinking back on it, honestly, parental controls, at least for me, are kind of useless because I don't have any kids. But honestly, this is a good argument I think for like parental controls because as me accidentally ordering this pay per view, this is back when we had Time Warner Cable. So it cut right in the middle of this match. It was in the midst of this match, and my parents caught me. I had done it a couple other times before with other movies, but I accidentally kind of just messing around with the thing. I didn't know how pay per view worked. My parents caught me. They took it off, and then I guess went from there. But now that we're getting to watch this match in its entirety, it's going to be interesting, as it were, to go back and watch this match in its entirety. So, how's it hold up? Let's find out. So, if you've seen these reviews mine before, you kind of already know how this works. If you haven't, I'm going to be talking about what I liked and what I disliked. And the other thing is, I could have sworn this was a no DQ match. Maybe it's that Mandela effect, and maybe it's because of the spot I walked in on, at least when I ordered the thing, or the pay per view. This spot I walked in on, I could have swore this was a no DQ match, but nope, this was a regular match. We'll come back to that DQ thing in a little bit because it's gonna play a factor in this match. But yeah, if you've seen these mine, you kind of know how this works. If you haven't, I'm going to be talking about what I liked and what I disliked about the match. So starting with what I liked, hey, a decent amount of physicality as these two who go after each other. Definitely not a lot of pretty movements, but definitely a lot more of that fight aspect. And sometimes that's what you want in your wrestling matches. Even if it's not the most fluid match, even if it's not a 5-star classic, just that big fight feeling where they're going after each other, and we definitely see that at JBL more so cowering away from Jericho for the most part. Jericho keep trying to get at him, and the referee pull him away, which is how I pretty much figured out this was no DQ. And when I went to look at the wiki and everything, which I do have here for reference in case there's points I miss, but I went to look at the wiki. No, it wasn't no disqualification, and I could have swore it was. I could have swore this was either no holds barred or last man standing, but I guess I must have misremembered it. But yeah, so them wanting to go after each other, and they kind of did some world building as to how this feud came about. There is some aspects they didn't touch on quite as much, which I had to go back and do my own research. Some of it I knew beforehand, but kind of just filling in those blanks. JBL, a couple things. For starters, JBL had called Chris Jericho a coward in front of his own kids. It's which they brought up on commentary. I'm mainly bringing up what they brought up on commentary, so what we know going in. But the other thing that was brought up is that JBL choked Jericho with some cables a couple of weeks ago on Raw, and that will definitely come up again in this match. So some bad blood between these two, but it goes back a little bit deeper than that. So pretty much how this came about is that for a while JBL was on commentary. He had retired for a little bit, I believe, in 2006 or 2007, and was on commentary for a little bit. It was a very brief retirement, but he was on commentary for a bit. And if anything, it was cool that we got him on commentary for the SmackDown vs. Raw 2008 video game. But the other thing is that it probably ended up testing the waters for JBL doing commentary full time. Obviously, JBL would go on to do commentary for a little while longer. Alongside like Michael Cole and I believe Byron Saxton was doing commentary at this point in time. But hey, of course, JBL and Michael Cole, aka Margle, very interesting commentary duo. And JBL. On commentary, he definitely, I think, one of the few heel commentators that works mainly because while he does bring up some good points, he's also pretty entertaining, at least in terms of his character, or not when he bullies his coworkers, in the case of Mauro Ranallo, or at least allegedly bullies his coworkers, but yeah, in that regard, pretty entertaining. But yeah, so when JBL was on commentary, he accidentally and this was at Armageddon 2007, and where Randy Orton actually rammed Chris Jericho into JBL, and Jericho got up. JBL wasn't too happy about it, so JBL came out of retirement and pretty much started a fight with Jericho. And so they battled with each other. JBL even costing Jericho a WWE Championship match against Orton, in which Orton is on the card as well tonight, going against Jeff Hardy, but they didn't quite make the cut for Rumble views this year, so maybe next year. Yeah, so a very personal rivalry going in, and it is kind of reflected in the way they go after each other, or mainly Jericho itching for that fight. There is some pretty moves and some actual semblance of wrestling moves, but definitely that fight aspect, including Jericho, being sent into the turnbuckle. His shoulder hits, but then his head is bleeding. So I think you know what that means. But yeah, so Jericho is busted open, and then they continue the fight from there. And then Jericho ultimately gets himself DQ'd after whomping JBL in the head with a chair. How is that two matches of JBL that I reviewed in a row where it ended in disqualification from a chair shot? But Jericho afterwards not caring, continuing to pummel on JBL, including now JBL being the one choked with the hammer cord. Jericho chokes him out. The referees try to stop him, and man, that is wow. That's not quite PG era yet. As W would go PG this year, or later on this year. We are in the HD era, but we're not quite in the PG era just yet. Like PG wouldn't come until later on this year. But Jericho says, "To hell with your PG. I'm gonna choke JBL out." And in a way, it is poetic justice. Is then choking JBL out after JBL had choked Jericho out and called him a coward or in front of his kids. But man, it is wow. So JBL does win the match, and they still announce it that JBL won by DQ. And JR points out on commentary, good old JR, of course, points out on commentary that JBL doesn't look like much of a winner, and he kind of doesn't. But I think that plays into the story. In that aspect, in that fight regard, in that regards of it feeling like a fight, I think it does work well there for the most part. In terms of what I didn't quite like, having a DQ finish does kind of suck. Honestly, this probably could, maybe that's why I was misremembering, because this feels like it probably could have and should have been a no holds barred match, especially considering this match is also very short. It's about the official time here, at least according to the wiki, is 9 minutes 23 seconds, which it may seem like a lot, but compared to other matches, is actually quite short, which is unfortunate. Like, the match is over before it really begins, and yeah, it's also about the post-match stuff, like the stuff they do after the match with Jericho, attacking JBL and everything. But man, I do wish the match was longer, and honestly, like a no holds barred could have improved this match because it was too short. Like it was still fine, I'd say, but it could have been a lot better. Like if it was no holds barred, they were really allowed to go pedal to the metal against each other. But sadly, that's not quite what we got. But nevertheless, that's going to do it for this review. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor: like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends, turn post notifications so you know every time I upload a video, so you can see as soon as it drops. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts on the match and my review. And of course, we're going to continue our Royal Rumble reviews for the month of January. But in the meantime, thank you all so much for watching. I will see you guys later. Peace.